My name is Dave Hartley. I work for MWR Info Security as a managing security consultant. So I always had the passion and interest for IT and computers. My cousins were Commodore 64 video game programmers, so they kind of got me into it at that age. But security didn't really come along until much later in life when I was working for a telecommunications company, and at that time I was running the firewall, admin firewall, and we were hacked. And I was asked to look into it, and all I could see was a connection through port 80 and couldn't figure out, well, how can someone hack us just by visiting a web page? So we called in some guys to take a look at it. They did the sort of investigation, I shadowed them, and from there on I really sort of caught the bug and thought it was quite interesting stuff. Nowadays, not as much hands-on testing as it used to be. At the moment, it's quite busy. The new thing is obviously everyone's doing like CBEST tests or targeted assessments. It's quite interesting, going from full zero to hero from internet, emulating threat actors and stuff, being involved in those tests against major corporations is quite an interesting day, I'd say. But other elements of my day include meeting clients, discussing their requirements, which might be mobile testing, app testing, network testing, planning resources, and also just basically working with, alongside, and trying to support the team's growth, keeping them excited about the things that we do. And I guess I don't get all that in one day, but that's kind of my activities, I guess. Everyone always falls back to the worst bit being the report writing. However, I don't mind report writing sometimes if it's been a particularly interesting job, and I really think that the report could make a difference for the client or the guys that I'm directly dealing with in communicating the things that we found in the right way to get actually the issues resolved in the right way. Then I do enjoy putting a report together, especially when I try and communicate it in a slightly less traditional way, either putting animations together, interesting graphics. I guess that's a little bit of, I like to get out my graphics packages and get a little bit creative, and I get a bit of ribbing about that, but it's something I do enjoy, which isn't highly technical. But I guess the most exciting things about the job is always when you're delivering a test or a real decent engagement and you've worked really hard to get to a certain point, whether you're looking at an application or an environment, a domain, a complex system like SAP, which is always a nice favorite of mine, and you actually achieve the goal of the test. So you've broken in, you've got that thing that your client's most concerned about. I mean, obviously a client's not going to see it as a great exciting thing, but for us, it's really the challenge. You're going up against the guys that have administered or hardened or tried to secure this environment, and you're pitting yourself against them. Researching the industry, what it's about and how it's about, I'd say there's a whole bunch of different security conferences that are available now. I mean, back when I got started, there wasn't, there's even a comp science GCSE that's now come out. So you can do your GCSEs, you get exposure to this industry from school to college to university. You can go around to careers fairs and see all the main players in the UK advertising the services and the wares. But I'd say try and stick to some grassroots conferences that are organised by the community. And a good example of that would be, CrestCon, that's an industry conference, and B-Sides, where it's a community conference, and you get the two contrasts. You'll see the guys that are working as professionals in the industry of all different shapes and sizes. And if you go to something like B-Sides, you'll see a whole bunch of different students, guys that are on the fringes of the industry, just interested, getting in, and they talk about all sorts of different topics. And you'll really see and get a good look and feel for what it's all about from those two contrasts. It's a great career path. My own personal views are that it's quite a disparate industry, especially with the professionalization of certain services and an attempt by some to sort of commoditize certain elements of what we do and how we do it. But there's always going to be room and opportunities for those guys that are massively passionate about IT, about technology, about security, about the way of thinking, and those guys that live and breathe it are always going to have a fantastic career in this industry. And anyone that shows that passion and interest and motivation and get up and go to get themselves involved are always going to do well.